Am I balding? Am I really balding? Holy shit. Here. 9 months of HRT, and I've just reached the point where someone tried to follow me on my walk home. Yay! I knew it was going to happen eventually. It's just a little bit of a brisk shock. For most of the transition, it's a possibility. And then one day it happens. Oh wow, the possibility just became real. Yeah, 9 months of HRT, a full pregnancy. I've carried myself to term. Oh my god, it looks just like me. But yeah, my hair. I definitely think I stopped balding. It wasn't severe, but there was a little bit of male pattern baldness going on pre-transition. And now I think it's just less severe. There's been like small little wisps growing back in, which is probably a result of either the finasteride or the estradiol. I'm not super sure, but I'll take it. But like, 9 months of HRT has also been 9 months of me using the men's room and then getting lots of double takes and strange glances from the men in the men's restroom. And also lots of men who like walk in, look at me, look at the sign on the door to make sure they're in the right restroom, and then are like, okay. God, there's so much anxiety around using the restroom now, which is not how I want to spend the rest of my shit and piss career. I'll figure it out. I feel like I would feel so comfortable using the women's room if it wasn't so politicized, if there wasn't such a culture war. But like, I don't know, maybe all of the discomfort I've made men feel in the men's room is actually real, as opposed to, the entirely made up and fictional straw man argument that conservatives always espouse and are fearful of because they like to tell ghost stories in order to distract their constituents from the fact that they've been doing nothing. But that's neither here nor there. But I've been spending a lot of time looking at myself in the mirror, and it's difficult to pinpoint what I want to continue to change. And I think I've gotten to a point of my transition where I'm starting to think about stuff like surgeries or filler, because being part of the trans community is being part of a community that has really normalized surgeries. But there's such a stigmatization, which is starting to lessen nowadays, but there is still a stigma around getting work done, about getting filler or Botox or plastic surgery or breast augmentations, which are all things that the trans community accepts as being part of your journey to accepting yourself. But I've been taking a picture of myself every day just to mark my HRT transition, and that video will be out in December. There was a certain point where, I don't know if my phone updated or maybe I just accidentally activated something that wasn't active, but my camera started to put a filter on my face. And during the editing process, I was astounded. I was like, oh my god, look where I started and look where I am now. The filter really feminized my appearance in a way that I was really proud of. It made me look really radiant and soft and glowing. And then I realized it was a filter. And when I had to start taking photos again with the filter off, I really experienced a negative impact on my self-image as I realized that I was mistaking for reality a lie to myself. That I didn't look like this, but that I instead looked like this, which I would say is still feminine, and I still look great. But it made me really have to tackle, at what point of my journey, at what point of my desire to feminize more, am I trying to look more like a woman? Or am I trying to look more like an unachievable beauty standard? Am I trying to look more like an object, this filter, this thing? Do I really want to remove a few moles or smooth out my skin just to look more feminine? Is my journey about gender identity related to the moles on my face? Because even pre-transition, I knew I wanted to get jaw surgery just to alleviate the underbite a little bit. So why am I hesitant about the idea of more work being done? Because obviously at the end of the day, I want to look feminine. I don't want to fall into the uncanny valley. I still want to look like a human being. But any trans person's desire to either look like a man or look like a woman is so broad still at the end of the day, because men and women are a spectrum in themselves that expand across a vast ocean of sizes, shapes, colors, appearances. How thin is the line between dissatisfaction with my point in my gender journey and dissatisfaction with just my physical appearance that should just be tackled by loving myself and loving who I am as I am? As it is, I think I'm very happy just taking HRT and eventually getting my jaw fixed. I like to think I'm happy with the way I look, but it's still a struggle that I assume most, if not all, trans people have to face. I've also been, as a gender fluid individual, oscillating back and forth between femininity and masculinity. As you might have noticed, I'm doing a bit more of a feminine voice for this video, just because I've been enjoying it more lately for the past couple weeks as a result of like a shift of my perception of myself and the way people see me. I've been feeling a lot more comfortable slipping from masculine into feminine again. Right now, in this moment of my cycle, I guess, speaking like this makes me feel euphoric and like better able to express myself. Whereas like right now, this voice is sort of making me feel uncomfortable. But like just a few weeks ago, speaking in this voice is actually what I preferred then and will prefer at certain times. And speaking like this will make me feel like odd and will actually give me dysphoria. It's been cool knowing that. It's been cool having the two options. But it's been making voice training hell. I don't really have the motivation to voice train consistently if half the time I'm speaking, I'm like, oh, I sound like a fucking idiot. But voice training is very difficult and also demanding of both my time and my energy, especially as someone who's working a full-time job, doing YouTube, in school for stenography, who has a social life and is playing D&D and trying to volunteer more and is also learning Spanish. And Spanish has also been but it's been slightly dysphoric, having to learn the gender of the words I use, especially in relation to me. I feel like I'm going crazy every time I have to decide, okay, is the adjective that I'm using to describe myself, am I fatigado or fatigada? Truly, I would lean neutral, just because I am like genderqueer and non-binary, but neutral in Spanish is also masculine. It doesn't feel like I've chosen for it to be neutral. And then like, I want to stray from using feminine because if I'm speaking Espanol to someone who only speaks Spanish, I don't have the language to say, oh, I'm gender fluid, non-binary, but all pronouns sort of work for me, but whatever. Either way, the last thing I wanted to touch on is that after a few months of Spyro and after switching to finasteride and then after like I think 7-8 months of laser hair removal, I no longer really have a 5 o'clock shadow. I freshly shaved today, and it used to be that there'd be an area of gray. There is still a little bit on my chin, but now I think it's pretty smooth. We've come a long way. This feels so intimate. I'm usually not this close to you guys. Usually you stare at a reflection of me. You stare at merely a lie. Get direct eye contact. How does that make you feel? That's been 9 months of HRT. I feel good. Make sure to leave questions for me in the comments below because I want to be able to answer people's questions just about my entire journey when I make my 1 year on HRT video. Go take a nap or something or swim in the lake. I don't know. Have fun. Alright. Love you.